The new Colnago Y1RS has taken the cycling world by storm with its radical, shocking aerodynamic design. Its unconventional seat tube junction and raised handlebar shape push the boundaries of bike innovation, and is claimed to be 20 watts more aero than the V1RS, a top-tier all-round aero climbing bike, and is said to rival the speed of the fastest aero bikes on the market right now. Naturally, a bike that looks the way this one looks raises a lot of questions. I had plenty myself. So, at the Team UAE Emirates pre-season training camp in southern Spain, where the brand new Y1RS was unveiled to the world for the very first time, I had the chance to ask the lead engineer behind the bike, Filippo Galli, all about why it looks the way it does. And I started by asking him, how tough is it to make an aero race bike?
This bicycle was, I guess, one of the toughest projects for Colnago. Especially the toughest part was to achieve the aerodynamic goal we had in our mind and combine them together with stiffness and all the other performance, riding, feeling and handling that we would like to have for this model.
What's the biggest challenge making an aero bike? Is it easy, tough?
Making an aero bike is tough, especially because the goal of Colnago was not to make just an aero bike, but was to make an aero bike which also include some really good comfort, thanks to this shape, this DeFi shape that is one of the most characteristic part of this bicycle, and above all achieve a good stiffness that is of course required in the bottom bracket area and in the cockpit area from most of the sprinters.
Is there anything from the V1RS and the time trial bike in this, or is it a ground up redesign, a blank sheet design project?
Actually, this bicycle comes from a black sheet. In particular, the idea came from when UCI released the new regulation that was effective since the beginning of 2023. And it can resemble a time trial bike if you look in the front, since the frontal area is and the head tube, they are very thin and very optimized and reduced. But overall, I would say that this bicycle is a completely new project for Colnago.
What's the biggest sort of aero feature? I mean, there's the handlebars, there's the seat tube. I guess it all works together, but is there a standout feature in terms of the aero savings?
Yeah, so the part that is affecting the aerodynamics is for sure the most is for sure the frontal area, and it was an object of a deep study, both in terms of experiment and in terms of simulation, CFD simulation. And Colnago tried to combine these two worlds by comparing on one end the simulated data and experimental data, thanks to the pressure mapping test that was conducted since the early stages of the project.
This pressure mapping, can you explain? That's a really interesting thing I've not seen before. How does that work? And
yes, pressure mapping, it consists in feature the bicycle with some pressure tubes, small tubes connected to some pressure gauges, and in each tube, so in specific point of the frontal area, you can not only measure the overall drag of the bicycle, but you can measure in specific point what is happening to the airflow. And by knowing exactly what is happening to the airflow in the near proximity of handlebar, fork, down tube, you can actually fine-tune your model in order to achieve better results, and of course you can compare different experimental solutions in the wind tunnel at punctual level, knowing exactly what is happening.
And then the seat tube, very distinctive. What's the theory there behind the seat tube design and the seat post?
Yes, the main idea behind the seat tube is to offer not only a very slacked seat tube, but also seat post, sorry, but also this DeFi, as it's called, the shape that allow a vertical compliance, making this bicycle rather comfortable, also in a very tack and aerodynamic position, which is crucial for long stages, breakaway, long session in front of the peloton, since fortunately the cyclist is the most the biggest part of the aerodynamics of the bicycle, and making the riders being able to keep the aerodynamic position for longer for sure is a great advantage in terms of aerodynamics.
And how much more aero is it than the V4RS and rival aero bikes? What are we talking?
Yes, we compare this bicycle in wind tunnel with the V4RS, of course, which is the benchmark, and will stay in the range available to the team as the all-rounder. And I don't remember exactly now the number, but we compute around 20 watts of saving in crosswind, so thanks to the weighted average drag, which is actually quite interesting. Make this bicycle very interesting as an option for fast stages and sprint races, but also for some session like long breakaway when the aerodynamics is very important. Of course, we compare with some competitors, and we can say that this bicycle performed better than the competitor we tested in the wind tunnel.
Making an aero bike sound like a balance or compromise in terms of aero, low drag, but then comfort, stiffness and weight. How do you battle these different constraints and bring them all together in one bike that's cohesive and rides well?
Of course, yes, the aerodynamics was the core of the development of this bicycle, but as I mentioned before, the request of the team was quite clear since the beginning. They don't want just a narrow bike that was difficult to handle, but they would like also a bicycle whose riding feeling was good, and this is we achieved thanks to the geometry that was quite aggressive, but the overall bicycle is shorter, and also the trail was object of study to make the bicycle quite reactive. That is basically what the rider wants. The comfort was achieved in particular thanks to the Defy shape that allowed to have a really good vertical compliance, while seated on the other end allowed the overall bicycle to keep a very stable and very stiff structure while sprinting. The same was thanks to the layout of the cockpit and of the headset that basically allow to, despite the shape that can resemble like a not stiff cockpit, the headset construction and the lamination of the shape, of course, and the lamination of the cockpit allow to have both a vertical stiffness, so in vertical direction, and lateral stiffness that were better than the competitor we choose for this, the reference we choose for this project.
Did the team Tade have any input during the design process at all?
The overall team, through the head of performance of the team, David Aero, they give important feedback since the beginning of this project. Both on geometry, on the required performance, of course, and also on some details that are actually really important and can make the difference in the races, like for example the shape of the bottle, also talking about these details like the position of the batteries, and of course about the requirement, the stiffness and performance in the wind tunnel. And they also superseded, the head of performance of the team also superseded all the tested in the wind tunnel, and all the data were shared with him since the early beginning of this project.
And you go on for bottle cages which are flush with the frame, but they're not aero bottles, they're round.
Yep.
Could you save a few more watts? Because I think Trek say about 3 watts for their aero bottles. Was that?
Actually, if you look at the white paper and also at the 3D printed model prototypes that are here, you can see that we tested actually some aerodynamic bottle, and we could actually measure an improvement. Maybe in the future you will see also some of these, some custom bottle, but more for customer, because the team was clear since the beginning. They would like to have round bottle because the rider are using different bottle with different beverage for the different stages of the race. Then they are also using the V4RS, which has round bottle, and so from a logistic point of view it was really complex to manage, and at the end of the day they prefer to develop the bicycle, develop the bottle cages and try to integrate it the standard bottle, and that was the object of safety study, instead of developing some custom bottle that was difficult to handle at the end of the day during the longer races.
Are you happy with how the bike turned out after this project's now completed and it's out here in the world?
Yeah, for sure I'm happy about the bicycle, but also more than the bicycle, I'm happy about the process. That was a completely new, the design process, that was a completely new process for Colnago, involving university, performing a deep study, deep simulation and deep experimental study of each profile and each section of the bicycle. And for sure this approach will be the same for whatever new model in Colnago, and I guess that the results can be tangible.
Do you think we're at sort of peak aero, or is there more on the table in terms of aero drag performance, or is this getting near the limits?
It's difficult to say. For sure the results is super good for this bicycle, and it was even beyond what we expected and our target at the beginning. But for sure we are still working to the university on refining models and on looking for new solution, and for sure it's our job. It's the good part for our engineering job to look for something better and better.
So there we go, why the bike looks the way it does from the person responsible for the way it looks. It's a team collaboration, a team project of course, but he gave a good insight into how the bike looks the way it does and some of the challenges and constraints when designing a bike that's ticking all the boxes we look for. Aero, lightweight, stiff, compliant. The holy grail of a race bike. And it will be interesting to see how the bike is embraced by a team, how many switch from the V1RS to his new bike, and whether Tadej himself opts for the bike in certain races this year. So I'll be watching along with you. And if you haven't seen my first look at the brand new bike, then definitely watch the video linked right here. And if you enjoy content, want more videos like this on a regular basis in your YouTube feed, then make sure to hit that subscribe button right there. But that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.